Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Limitless Stories podcast. And on today's episode, we have the pleasure of having Dr. Kat. Dr. Kat is a registered traditional medicine practitioner, registered acupuncturist, and registered holistic nutritionist. With over a decade of direct patient experience treating issues seemingly unknown to others, she relies on her medical intuition most to get the results. Dr. Kat's work has been featured in US Weekly, Well Pod with Ariel, the Mirror UK, Famous Times, and Women's Health, mostly for being the celebrity go to for complex conditions that they have gone to everyone else to fix with no luck. But guess what? They go to Dr. Cat and they get it fixed. So, with today's episode, I'm so happy to introduce you, Kat. And Kat, thank you for being here today. We're so happy to have you. How's everything going today?
Thank you for having me. Yeah, everything is going pretty good. It's a beautiful day. And yeah, everything's going good on my end. How's everything going for you?
It's a sunny day in Vancouver. You know, we don't get a lot of those. So, for the listeners, where are you located? Where are you recording
I'm
this from?
located in South America right now. We're running retreats in Costa Rica.
Oh, nice.
So that's been the newest venture with my business. We're running stem cell retreats that are based around gut health and Chinese medicine and
Mhm.
more personalized. So it's less, generalized when you're getting them and then also ethically sourced. So yeah, it's been a passion project of mine and I've been here for a full year now.
Oh, wow. You were living in Canada before, right?
Yes, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, it's crazy. But yeah, so what first drew you into acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine?
Yeah, I feel like I was always gonna do it. Like, I believe that it's not our first time on earth, and I feel like I've done this job many, many times just because of, times that I had tried to go to school for it. Like, I remember I used to live in Calgary, and I just signed up for it then, but I was in a unhealthy relationship at the time, and I was battling party addiction and stuff like that, so I ended up actually having to draw out, and that was when I was, in my early 20s. And so for me, it wasn't about if I was gonna do it, it seemed like it was always part of my path. Even when I was a kid, my nephew, who was a year younger than me, he would be drawing these, beautiful, exquisite paintings, and, they were so beyond his time, and all I would
Mhm.
be able to do is draw a peace sign. And so I just remember being a kid and all I would draw is a peace sign, like the yin yang sign, which is Chinese medicine. And so now when I look back, I'm like,
Yeah.
holy, I was going to do this the whole time. To answer your question, I had a business already doing gut health, parasites, and biological medicine. And
Okay.
then everyone kept asking, but are you a doctor? Because everyone just wants that behind you. Like, even if you're healing people and you're doing, a
Right.
really good job. Yeah. They're just like, but are you a doctor? So for me, I was like, okay, what should I pursue? And then also, I love learning. And it felt like it called to me a Chinese medicine. And I didn't really align with the naturopathic curriculum in terms of how
Right.
they were treating things. So yeah, I joined Chinese medicine.
Okay. So when people ask you, "Are you a doctor?" Do you think that's as a result of safetyism, like they just want to feel safe, or is it as a result of people pouring their blind faith into the medical system?
I think that there's just a lot of people online that, are operating without a skill level. And so I think people feel safer to know that somebody is well trained and well studied. And it shows a level of responsibility to be able to complete a program to its entirety because, that in itself is showing that you are responsible and you have this zest for what you're learning, right? And teaching. So
Right.
I think that, yeah, it scares me when people are like, I took a few courses here. I'm just like, okay, well, choose one. And yeah, I think people kind of relate to that. They're just like, make sure that you know what you're talking about and you're responsible in your choices.
Yeah. I really love that. I think one thing you mentioned is also like the vast resources that we're exposed to online.
Yeah.
It's something that I think most of us don't know who is accredited to be qualified to talk about what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And most of the time it's just like just because a video was shot professionally and somebody is speaking eloquently doesn't necessarily equate to it being true, right?
Yeah.
So it
Yeah. It's
takes a certain
scary.
level of mindfulness. Yeah,
Yeah,
go
I
ahead.
saw this guy that had so many views and he's not even a doctor, but he has the lab coat and he rents an office and does these videos. So it's pretty scary. And then Yeah, I've had people that take my program and then, like, they have, really bad health, and I know
Mm.
because I've taken my program, and then they end up, like, teaching gut health and, like, using the verbiage and, like, yeah, trying to use the same verbiage as we do with our program, so I get it, like, people are, trying to make a living and trying to grasp at what they can, but I think that is where it comes into play, like, did you study this formally? Because then it's
Mm.
not a copycat. It's, there's something to be said for people that want to claim like the prize without actually going through the battle. And
Mm.
so you don't really want to be getting treated or working with people who are just after the prize because, what are their motives? And usually it's just sales. So you want the people that firsthand went through the battle, right? To get to where they are.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think, there's a couple of things I wanna, inquire about your journey of studying this field of work. How was the experience of learning and immersing yourself into, like, gut health? What sparked that interest at the beginning? Like, did you just stumble upon resources? Was it, like, a personal experience that shaped you towards that journey? How did that kinda come
yeah.
about?
So I had a lifetime of gut issues. I had a lot of trauma when I was a kid. Nothing crazy, but just stuff that, progressed and progressed by not using my voice.
Mm.
Like, if I was to compare it to somebody else who actually had real war trauma or something, it's not the same at all.
Right.
My perceived trauma.
And
And
that's okay. That's okay.
yeah,
Like, let's not minimize our experiences for the sake of fitting in the box, but go ahead.
yeah, yeah, my sister will be like, "You don't have trauma, look at where mom and dad grew up," which is true, they, like, grew up in a shack. For me, I it was my perceived trauma, and for that, I closed my throat a lot, and I was, like, a big people pleaser, and I had a lot of throat chakra blockage from not saying what was on my mind and that kinda thing, and because I'm
Mm.
intuitive, I absorbed a lot in the room, and I knew what everyone was thinking. You can imagine as a kid, if you're highly empathic and you're absorbing everyone's energy and you know how they're actually feeling, that could be isolating and lonely.
Mhm.
And so I spent a lot of time as a kid feeling alone and, like,
Mm.
feeling alone in the world, even though we had, like, a super tight-knit family. I have 5 older sisters, my parents are still together, like, it
Mm.
it didn't make sense from the outside looking in, but for me, I always just felt alone. And so, as we know with gut health, as soon as you start blocking that throat chakra, it's going to lead to issues with your stomach. You're not gonna digest, you're not gonna absorb, and, yeah, your cortisol is just running through the body. I always had issues, but a few times I landed in the hospital just because we didn't know why I was having so much stomach pain. Maybe like 3 times, I would say, maybe even only 2. So not all the time. So we wouldn't have noted that it was celiac. It was only a couple times. And they
Mhm.
just would give me pain meds and I'd go home. And it would happen over and over. And then eventually when I was 19, a doctor in Canada
Right.
just ran a lab test and confirmed that I had celiac. And so finally it was like, okay, so the gut issues progressed to celiac, or I had celiac the whole time. Like, you never really know which came first.
Mhm.
Um, and then, yeah, after that, I just created a life trying to figure out how to heal my gut, how to heal
Mhm.
all the symptoms that come with an unhealthy gut, such as, hypothyroid, difficulty losing weight, acne, depression, anxiety, like all of the symptoms that are correlated with that leaky gut. And then I just found like a lot of holes, like I said, in naturopathic medicine, not to there's going to be really good naturopathic doctors. There's good healers in everything in the world. I just found
Right.
with my experience that they gave me an allergy test that was like $500 or $1,000 and just sent me home with supplements, and it just did nothing for me. So I just decided I wanted to take it into my own hands and figure out, okay, what works? Why does this happen? What medicine works? And I just started collecting things basically from around the world,
Right.
like the European medicine, the holistic nutrition, and then eventually Ayurveda and then the Chinese medicine to put together something that would heal me essentially. And I found it.
It's really that's a journey. That's a journey of, trying different things, mapping your way through these personal traumas and actually finding yourself into like a solution that suits you. And then once you find that, you start expanding that to other people. I find it
Yeah.
so funny that businesses always start with personal problems
Oh, always.
every
Yeah.
single time. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, my
And I
therapist
think
friends are, like, always the ones that need a therapist.
and sometimes you have to I think it's anyone can be a therapist as long as they have that capacity. And I'm not trying to like minimize what they do, but we can all be therapeutic in so many different formats. It doesn't necessarily mean that, just the therapy, like of conversation, but it could be so many different things. But
Yeah,
they're really well trained, and I really respect them for having the capacity to hold space for other people.
totally.
It's very it's I can't imagine, but
Yeah,
we're here.
yeah.
And I think you've been on this journey for over a decade, with patients, and I don't think that's a small feat. So you also have to hold space for other people. Thinking about your practice, how has it evolved since you started?
Oh god, so much. When I first started, I was sending people in the mail, like, these 2 homeopathics with a Word document gut reset, and people were getting results. They loved it, they were getting results, it was just me, and I was just kind of editing this document as I learned what worked. I started taking these homeopathics and learning my own way of taking them because I was working for a job as a medical sales rep, so I was teaching doctors how to use these formulas. And while
Mhm,
I was there, I just started kind of playing around with the science and I was like, okay, well, if this is the reason for this and this is the reason for this, what if I use this for that? And I used it in a way that was off label.
mhm,
And it worked for me. And it really worked for my boyfriend at the time. And then my best
mhm,
friend, she was living in Calgary at the time. And she said, send me some. And I was like, yeah. And she's like, yeah, if it's working for you, send me some. And so I sent her some and she loved it. And she's like, I want to help you like get this out there. So she started working for me and I started selling this reset, essentially this Word document reset with these sips. And she started selling them in Calgary as a rep for me. And she didn't
mm.
have the education, but she really believed in the product and it worked for her. And so, she had a lot of women that wanted to lose weight and glow and feel better. And so, cure these issues that we were having with fungus and that kind of thing. And it
Mhm.
works. Like it just works. There's no one that's done it and said, oh, I didn't get any results. Like it just works. It's an
It just worked.
anti inflammatory, antioxidant, like super gut healing um, diet that works.
Right.
And so that's how it started, and then I started dating my husband who was like, "You can't send people that, like, you can't send
Right.
people."
Like, this was in the
Yeah.
mail, right? Like, you're doing it, like, sending it. Okay.
He's like, "You
Alright.
can't send people that without a box." Like, he's like, "You this is so
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
unprofessional."
whoa, whoa, whoa. There was no packaging? It was just
No, it was just in there. But I will say, I am not a marketer. I am not here to sell you something. I am not here to make fancy marketing. I used to actually say all the time, if you want fancy marketing and all these like glitz and glam, you go to these expensive clinics that don't get you results, right? Like for me, people were
mm,
getting results. They were loving the program. So for me, that was like what I would reply and say. Like I was just like, I'm not here to like design a marketing. I'm not a marketing guru. I'm here because I know how to help heal some of your issues because of
right,
God, right? God helping me to help these people. So for me, I was just like, I like being that weird, like hole in the wall kind of practitioner that is helping people, but is at the same time, kind of sketchy. Where you're just like, this doesn't look as professional as it should. So yeah, he was
yeah,
the one that got me to get professional boxes, get proper packaging. Everything was like, properly packaged from the lab and stuff. Like not, it wasn't
right.
like bad in that effect. I just mean like the way that it presented and the marketing aspect of it. And so, yeah,
That's
after
evolution. That's evolution.
it's crazy how different it is now. And so now I have time because I've had this business for 10 years. Now I have girls that are running the resets for me, and I'm just doing the behind the scenes of the formulating and pumping people up and channeling during group calls. But now I have time. The thing about growing my business is I was so scared that if I, hand it off to these girls to help me, I won't be able to help people. But it actually made me help people so much more because I now had time instead of doing all the shipping, doing all the assessing myself, answering all the general questions myself. I suddenly made time by getting these people to help to do what I love, which is formulate and help people. So now, I'll have 50 people, but all I'm doing is deciding what formula they need, and I can add like more beneficial things to the group calls. I just find that whenever I try to, like, take a load off my own role, I end up doing something even cooler with the business to help other people. Yeah, it's weird. It's like you don't actually I thought that I would be helping less people by, hiring others to help me, but it ended up, benefiting them more. So yeah, it's been a journey.
Let's double tap that real quick because I don't
Yeah.
wanna forget this one. I think you mentioned something on that point on when you were scared to let go of your input. Day to day, it was literally you from top to bottom. You're the
Yeah.
one making the decisions about everything. Do you think that was an issue with control, or do you think that was an issue with, the branding aspect of like, I don't want to really let go of how this company feels for me? Or was it an issue about like, okay, I just don't want to dispose this responsibility because I'm not sure if their work and their flow is the same as mine?
Yeah, so my every time I've done a reset for 10 years, at the end of it, I'll have a handful of women who wanna work for Glow. So a handful every time, no matter what, because they get these crazy changes and they're like, "Okay, well, if I'm so passionate about this, why can't I also do this for work?" So then if they don't end up working for Glow, they ask me, "Okay, what school did you do? How can I do this as well?" Like, there's these passionate women that are, changing their lives. They're stopping like, I had hairdressers that no longer wanna be a hairdresser because of the chemicals. I have,
Yeah.
people in the nightlife or bartenders who are like, "This is not good for my circadian rhythm." Like, I want to do what you're doing. And every time it just felt wrong, and I was like, "No, no, no." And it wasn't about control, it just felt like nobody would care about this as much as I do. Like, nobody would actually like, you don't understand. I have been on Instagram directly replying to people for 10 years. It doesn't matter if it's 11 PM, it doesn't matter if it's 4 AM, like, if I'm up and you message me, I have replied to you. And so,
Yep.
like,
I could attest to that.
I'm a machine and and that's passion, like, only passion can do that, right? Like, I wouldn't like, my
Right.
other jobs, I could care less to do that, but it's passion, right? I want them to get the best experience, and so when I had thought about bringing someone in, I just knew they wouldn't have the same passion because they didn't create it. It's different to have an experience and be passionate about it, and then it's different to create something and it's coming from you. So, I did have an issue with, like I told you, a bunch of people actually, like, stole my work and, used it as their own after they did my reset, and for a while, it would kill me, like, it actually would kill me, but it wasn't until I got to Costa Rica
Mhm.
and I started formulating herbs for myself because I was studying for my board exams, and I was formulating herbs for myself, and I was in there, and I was getting these crazy results, and it finally dawned on me that it's like, okay, people can copy your page, they can copy your document, they can take whatever you say on Instagram and pretend it's their own and reverbalize it the same way you do, but they're not you. They're not creating it, and so it's not gonna hit the same, like I'm creating these herbs
1000%.
and these formulas, yeah. And so I think when that happened, I was like, "You can let go. Like, it's okay, and it's okay if people copy you, let them. Like, let them make that 300 bucks, whatever they're doing, like, just let them go with that, like, and just do focus on yourself." So, yeah, and it's been great. Like, we have amazing reps who got their own experience through Glow, like I said, and I finally was like, "You know what? What's the worst that can happen is people aren't happy with their results, and then I'll take them over." But people have been getting amazing results. We've had reps for over a year, and people actually really love it because when you kinda burn out, you're not
Mm.
as good. So, like, if I'm burnt
Yeah.
out, I'm gonna be kinda bitchy. I don't know if I can swear, but I'm gonna be kinda
Yeah.
bitchy. I'm not gonna give you, like, the best version of me if I'm
Right.
tired, and so if you have these reps where they're just helping you, guiding you through the program and answering all the general questions, which coconut milk to buy, which coconut oil to buy, it lets me do the other stuff and be passionate about it and, like, have time to do cooler stuff with the patients, so, yeah.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with that one. And it's funny how you mentioned like, you were scared about these people having passion, but once they do the reset and they get passionate about the results, that
Yes.
passion just innately invested itself back to glow, right?
Yeah,
It's like you didn't have
yeah,
to do nothing. And then there's also the downside that you mentioned, like people trying to copy and like bite off what you're doing. But at the
yeah.
end of the day, they can't be you. At the
Yes,
end of the day, there's only
exactly.
one cat and there's only one glow and there's only one
Yeah.
branding. You can literally give somebody the playbook of this is what we need you to do,
Yeah,
but if they don't have that little salt, that extra sizzle,
yeah,
it's not
yeah,
gonna work. It won't
yeah,
work.
yeah.
And shout out to coconut water. Hey, refresh if you're looking, please.
Yeah, I learned
Yeah.
that even in school because I was even in nutrition school. So, TCM school, nutrition school, like I learned that because people were asking me for my opinion on things. People were asking me to be a client. And I was like, you had the same education. Like, why? But it's because during that nutrition program, I took things that at that time that person wasn't looking for. So I
Mhm.
absorbed all this knowledge about the gut that she's like, "Did we even learn that?" So, it's funny. It's like if something's meant for you, if it's your path, you're gonna hear something differently than if it's not. And so I learned because I used to think that too. I'm like, someone with TCM experience, what if they'd, tried to copy it? But I've learned through hiring TCMs and stuff to work with me that I don't see the body the same as them. And that's good. Like no one we don't all have to see the body the same anyways. Like it's not like I'm the best at everything, but it just helped me calm down and know that, people, even if they copy you, it's not gonna go anywhere.
I really love that. Thank you for sharing that. I think that perspective is very important, and perspective is everything. Like,
Yeah,
if I'm on my path and if you're in my lane, like I can only see the traffic that's on my lane. I'm not really worried about the traffic on the other person's lane, right? Like if my
yeah,
lane is empty, then your lane is full, then it's like, okay, your lane is full, but mine is empty. So I can process that the way I want to process it. And that's
yeah,
okay. It doesn't
yeah,
necessarily mean you're feeling better then. It just means in your lane, you're the specialist and that's what you see. I really love
yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah. I was just gonna say, like, my son was, like, biking the other day, and he was so fast, and he was beating this girl that always beats him, and I just kept
Mhm.
seeing him, like, looking to the left, seeing where she's at, and I was just like, "You just lost, 5 seconds of this race by looking at where she's at." And it's just so funny how as you were talking, I'm like, "That's literally life." It's like, if you're looking at everyone else and seeing who's gonna copy you or seeing, where someone else is at, you're losing your own, pull, so
Did you find that happening in real time with Glow when you were worried about people biting your drip? Like at some point, did
yeah.
you feel like you started to slow down and because of the constant like back checking?
When I tell you it destroyed me, because you can imagine. I get that nowadays people are, like, learning a program on ChatGPT, running with it, selling it, good at sales. Like, I get that. I get that there's people like that. But for
Mm.
me, this is my life. Like, I could even cry if I think about it because it's like I had to pull myself out of
Oh,
darkness, you know? Like, I had to
right.
pull myself from depression. I had to pull yeah, I literally could cry because I went through that shit myself and I dug
Mhm.
my way out of it, and I created this method, like, to help other people and help myself. So
Mhm.
ugh, I am gonna cry. But
It's okay. It's
it's
a
just
safe space.
disheartening, yeah. It's just
It's a
disheartening
safe space.
because I would have doctors that, like, would take my program, and I was like, "This like, they have this busy clinic, like, they're gonna" and then I'm like, "No, because why would they do that?" And then they did, and they weren't helping people is the thing because yeah, anyways,
Mm.
I won't even get into it, but it really killed me, and then I swear at the minute I got to Costa Rica and I was formulating with herbs, I was like, "Oh, it doesn't matter." And if I look at those people that have stolen, my work and stuff, they haven't gotten anywhere. So it's also that God doesn't reward you when you, steal from other people's plans or try to go, and be someone. You have to
Right.
and everyone has their own path. It's not like I'm the only one that has a path. So, like, it just sucks that these people don't, learn their own path and go with that and see what they're good at yeah. And again, you have to be weary of people who want the prize without doing, like, the grit. It's not it's a sin, really. So,
Right.
trust me, I did the grit. Like, I did the trials and errors, I did the darkness, I did feeling like shit for most of my life. I did all the education, I put in hours with patients, so I just feel like, yeah, when somebody comes and they try to take that, it's just yeah, it was heartbreaking, but like I said, I am over that, and it really doesn't bother me anymore. Like, in fact, a friend showed me something the other day, and I was like, "Oh, it's so cool." Like, I literally doesn't phase me at all. Yeah.
And that's growth. And that is
Yeah.
growth right there. And
Yeah.
first of all, just appreciate the vulnerability when you were going back into that moment and feeling that pain, right? That's
Yeah.
what makes that journey so beautiful. It's
Yeah.
because once you move out of that situation or whatever was holding you with that amount of pain, to be able to talk about it and be able to just move past it takes an immense level of resilience that I don't think people understand. Like pulling yourself out of the dark is, I was telling this to my coworker the other day. I was telling him, like, bro, I think one of the biggest things that life has to offer is the ability to get out of a dark place. Like
Yeah.
once you go through that journey, your perspective and just overall ethos as a human being shifts. You
Yeah.
look at yourself differently and you just kind of go back inward. And that's what healing is. Healing is like looking back at yourself and reconnecting with your roots. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm so happy that you kind of got to that point where you're content with yourself. Let's have a good conversation where you help someone. Let's hear a story about when intuition guided you to break through in a patient's healing. Like let's hear the good side.
Yeah. Um, I think that the most the nicest side for me is the fertility. Often when people finish a reset, it's not that they were even trying and they get pregnant and then they message me and they're like, I think it had to do with your reset. And it's like, definitely had to do with the reset because a healthy body is a fertile body. And it just
Hmm.
so happens that it's almost like one after another after they do a reset, they end up pregnant. And that to me is the most important because personally I feel like children are God's gift to us. Certainly for myself, they saved my life. And I feel like they're always a gift. And so to be able to help bring more children into the world and to help people in that regard is the most rewarding. In
Right.
terms of using my intuition, I use it every single time. And
Mm.
can tell you what's going on without even looking at your intake. Like, do you want me to, do you want to show your tongue and I'll tell you what's
Yeah,
going on?
yeah,
Do you feel
yeah, yeah.
comfortable?
I need it. Okay. I think I lost you for a second, but it's okay.
Yeah. Can I see your tongue and I can tell you? No? You don't have to say yes. You don't have to say yes. No?
Not today.
Okay, 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 okay. I
No,
won't,
okay,
but
okay, okay. I haven't really scrapped my tongue today, and I know I've
okay,
seen
okay.
that on the ground.
Okay,
What else?
okay, yeah, I
What else
won't.
can we use?
Just the other day I was formulating and, I looked at the girl's tongue or no, I looked at the girl's, yeah, tongue, and I just said, "Definite thyroid involvement, like, for sure."
Screw
And
it.
then
Let's do it. Let's do it.
yeah? Okay,
Let's
okay,
do
go.
it.
Okay, go. Okay, so thick, thick, white, cold candida. And then some heart heat and a little bit of lung heat. Heat in Chinese medicine is typically inflammation, but yeah, just cold. But that could just mean, ice cream, smoothies, anything cold that you've been eating lately. It can
Mhm.
also be a buildup of too much chemicals and your brain creating candida to protect the brain from chemicals entering. But yeah, it would just be like that cold, damp picture. Vancouver right now it's summer, so it wouldn't be too damp. But in general, Vancouver is very damp in general. So there's a lot of dampness in Vancouver, and that most of my patients that are from Vancouver have dampness because it's a damp place to live, right? So, yeah.
That's crazy because my diet, I just increased my ice cream intake lately.
I told you.
Actually crazy. That's actually wild because I got ice cream in my freezer right now, and I typically don't have ice cream,
Yeah.
for real. Because I love
Yeah.
fitness, I'm into the gym,
Yep.
so I don't
Yep.
have ice cream. But somehow you picked that up. That's wild.
Yeah, and because you have that heat, usually you pick up the ice cream because 'cause you're like, "Ah, I feel hot," or "I feel like
Ah,
that heat internally," and so it's like, yeah, so that's what's happening, but really what you need to do is cool some of that heat down. Dark bitter greens is really good for that.
mm,
Celery juice, but not right now because of you have that cold tongue, so you don't want more cold, but
mm.
later in the future when you see that red forming on the tongue, as long as there's not that coating, I would have, celery juice, something cooling that can calm that down. And rest. Like, we create heat when we push, 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 do too much, stay up late. Cannabis will create that heat as well, like, all those things.
Nah, that I'm good, but rest, yeah, I need more rest because
Yeah,
it's been chaotic. So,
yeah.
damn, that's
Yeah.
actually so cool that you can just pick it up like this.
Yeah, I used to think it was, a bad thing because if you look at my code, in the gene keys, it's that I'm omniscient, which is, all-knowing. It just means that I'm able to see both sides of everything. So it's hard for me to form an opinion that's, stubborn. It's like, I can always see both sides. I can be like, "I see why you think that, and I see why this person thinks that." And
Mm.
also, I pick up flaws. And so you'd think that's a good thing in my business, which it is because I can pick up what you need to work on right away. But when I it also translates to myself. So I've literally spent my whole life only picking up my flaws. And so you can see how that would be an issue.
Oh.
Yeah, it's crazy. So people are like, "That's so cool
Uh,
that you get to, see that." I'm like, "Yeah, try
yeah.
living like that and constantly only seeing what you can improve in yourself." Obviously, it's led to, a life where I'm constantly going for the next thing and always wanting to improve myself, which, I mean, it's not too bad, but the other day I was thinking, I'm like, "Wow, I've spent an entire life on self-improvement, and I don't know if there's been many days that I've just been like, okay, let's chill, let's sit and enjoy." So, my kids help with that, they help me stay present and they help me, just be present and okay with day to day, but yeah, to be able to just, like, notice flaws is not great for yourself.
Yeah, I was actually about to ask you, like, do you feel like that has impacted your overall abilities to stay mindful? That's a good segue into like mindfulness because first of all, I think you love being a mother. I will say that. That's something
Yeah.
that I can hear the passion in your voice and
Yeah,
it's beautiful to hear that. How many kids do you have?
2, and I had them within a year and a half apart. So, like, it's like having twins, right? Because 'Cause they're only a year and a half apart.
Okay. Nice. What's the one thing you enjoy the most about motherhood or what has it taught you the most?
For me, like, my kids are just my everything. Like, they make every day better for me. They make me make better choices for myself, and they saved my life, to be honest. Like, when I say, like, I've literally dug myself out of a lot of places, like, if you were to sit down with me 7 years ago, like, I'd say, like, the
Mhm.
last 6 years have been, like, really good, but I would say
Mhm.
7 plus years ago, if you were to sit down with me, you would be sitting down with a completely different person who
Yeah.
was really lost and, like, yeah, just nothing was really gonna work for me, or so I figured. And
Years
so, yeah,
ago.
so they really helped. I would say 7 or 8 years. I'm
Okay.
really bad with time. I guess, like, what are we at? My kids are now Roman's 4, so a year pregnant. Yeah, I'd say, like, 6 or 7 years ago would be, yeah, lost and, like, kind of feeling empty. And so my kids for me provide, like, that just real love.
Do you think at the time you were still observing life from like a flawed perspective, like I'm flawed, this is some of my flaws, and when they came in, you started appreciating yourself differently? Was that
Yeah,
the switch?
fuck yeah. Are you intuitive? Yeah, yeah,
No,
definitely.
because I
Yeah.
could definitely, maybe I'm getting some of that energy. Give it to me, give it to me, give it.
Yeah, that
I could
definitely it
definitely
was the
feel that.
yeah, it was the first time that I saw myself through my son's eyes, and it was the first time I grew boundaries. The minute I got pregnant, I was like, "No, you're not gonna be," because 'cause I'm a giver, and so a lot of my friends around me were, like, takers, and honestly, I don't really care, like, it doesn't offend me to be a giver, like, to me, if someone's using you or if somebody's, like, taking from you, that's on them, right? Like, that doesn't affect me.
Mm,
And so the minute I got pregnant, I just started noticing all, like, kind of the leechy behavior and people that took and took
mm,
and took and never really gave anything.
gave
And
anything.
I put a
Yeah.
stop to it as soon as I was pregnant. I stopped being friends with all of my friends. I didn't keep one friend, and I had a lot of friends. So I was a very,
Mm,
like, I went out all the time, I was with friends all the time, and yeah, once I got pregnant, I just had no tolerance for, people that weren't good-hearted and didn't
mhm.
also yeah, I just had bad people probably around me, but or they're going through their own, like, life stages.
Just, yeah. And
Yeah,
energetically, that also just shifts, right? Like once
yeah,
you find that thing for you that kind of brings you back to yourself, you start
yeah,
noticing things about other people that maybe you were blindsided to based on the time of the relationship, attachment, or whatever the case may be. You just be like,
yeah.
oh no, I don't want to do that. I think the acupuncture and TCM are very misunderstood by many. What do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions that you've encountered?
I think, like, and I did this too, so no judgment, but when I first went to an acupuncturist or a Chinese medicine doctor, I just was like, "Oh, okay, so you learn, like, yin and yang." And, what really you learn is it's 5 years full time. You have to have is it an associate's or a bachelor's degree in science?
Hmm.
To enter, and then you also have to do sciences, so you have to do anatomy and physiology, like Western science. Ecology,
Mm,
you have to do chemistry, biochemistry, like, you're still learning Western medicine the entire time that you're learning Chinese medicine. So, yeah, you're learning all the Western medicine, and the reason is most of the people that we see, we have to know all their diseases, their patterns, so we're not just learning diabetes in a TCM sense, you're learning it in Western medicine, you're learning how you would treat it in Western medicine, and then you're also learning pharmacology, which is like prescriptions, not that we are encouraging or writing prescriptions, but we know and we have to know all the prescriptions because herbal formulas are so strong. They're similar to prescribing pharmaceuticals, except for they're just more natural, right? So you have
right.
to know what works with what. And a lot of the testing, like to be the RTCMP test, because there's 3 board exams that you have to go through in that 5 years.
Oh,
Yeah, and the RTCMP test was literally Western medicine. I don't even think that there's maybe 3 Chinese medicine questions. Like, I remember, can you use Ventolin when and this herb together for a child? And so you have to know, like, can they use that and that together. And there's so many herbs. So you also are studying like, hundreds and hundreds of herbs and formulas, and then also all of these pharmaceuticals. And yeah, it was really heavily Western medicine. I would say like the doctorate exam was heavily anatomy. There was like, if
Mhm.
somebody falls and they break their knee, what three bones? And for me personally, I was like, why do I need to know this? Like because I'm all internal medicine, I've been doing this for so many years that there's just never been a time that I've had to do that. I understand that if you were, like, more of an acupuncturist that's seeing patients, you're gonna need to know that, but for
Mhm.
me, I was just so annoyed because I was like, "I don't this isn't my jam, and I'll never have to do this again." So, yeah, I'd say that's, like, the main misconception, and I did it too. I just thought I'm like, "Oh, so they learn Chinese medicine." You don't realize it's basically you're learning Western medicine for 5 years and you're learning Chinese medicine, meridians, yin yang theory, five element theory, pathogenesis theories. And so in Chinese medicine, like one of the theories is that if you get a pathogen and you don't clear it out of the
Mhm.
body, it embeds deeper
Mhm.
and morphs into really serious diseases. And so that's one ideology. And that's like what a lot of the formulas go off of is venting that pathogen out. And so like, it's just really
Mhm.
cool. And, yeah, it's a lot more than just yin and yang.
Yeah, it's crazy. As you were talking about that, I was thinking like, when's the last time I used the Pythagoras theorem?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even
I
never.
hate it. I
But
hate traditional.
same type of vibes. Same type of vibes.
Yeah, it's just like, when will I ever use this? It's not testing you to see if you're a good practitioner. It's testing you to see how much of the textbook you've memorized, essentially. It's a rite of passage.
And it's the education system globally. That's typically it. You've just summarized the education system, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
and if you happen to not know
Why do
one
you
thing, but but you're such a good practitioner and you happen to not know that one question they asked, yeah, it's just, to me, the process, like, it caused a lot of stress because I'm a mom of 2. I already have a busy business, and so for me, I spend, every day studying, and I feel like at the end of it, it should have just been more like, "Can you heal people?" Like, "Do you know what formula to choose for somebody that has this?" Like, should have been more, practitioner based in what we're doing, but I'm not gonna try to rewrite schools. It's too
Right,
late for
right.
that.
It's too late for that. Why do you think celebrities and, high performers turn to you for answers when, they can't find help from other people?
I think for me, people are hesitant to reach me because I'm always like posting selfies and I don't have a facade. I don't have this lab coat where you only see 1% of my life. I'm very much
Mhm.
so my whole life is on Instagram and you see, different sides of me. You're going to see a side of me that, maybe you don't want to see from your doctor, but for me, it's more important to just be myself and be real and attract clients that want that too, because there's a certain type of client that wants a certain type of practitioner as well. And so for
Mhm.
me, it's always because of my before and afters. It's just that's they're looking for answers. And so they're willing to look past the fact that I'm not, you know, sugarcoating things. I'm not showing 1% of my life in this curated perfect feed. And I'm just living, what I'm teaching. And I have the answers. Like my before and afters are crazy. And now I get that like people are saturating the system with like fake before and afters. And I get why people like,
Mhm.
they think that a lot of the before and afters online are fake, but mine are not one of them is fake. Like they all have people behind them that, say a testimony. And yeah, I've been able to help
Right.
people where other people just aren't able to figure it out. The skin one, like the one that landed us in Us Weekly and stuff, that she has access
Mhm.
to the best in Hollywood. She has access to the best doctors. She went to the best doctors. She went to, the best facialists, the best estheticians. So the only thing that worked for her was my program. People aren't comfortable showing their skin.
Mhm.
And so, like, I have a lot of athletes, I have a lot of celebrities, they don't want me to post them. She was great, she let me, like, do the
Yeah.
article, she let me at least talk about the experience, but, like, athletes and celebrities, they're not like, "Yeah, post me on your Instagram." Like, they're like they'd rather just pay for the service and not be affiliated, which I respect, and I would never push anyone,
Mhm.
but especially athletes. But yeah, I just feel like when you are looking for results, when you're in that place where you've tried everything and nothing is working, you're gonna try someone that you're seeing get results. And um it's always worked. I've never had a case where they followed to a T and, they were submitting
Mm,
their journals and they were doing all of the things where they didn't see a drastic change. The only time I've had people say, I didn't get the results I wanted was people who didn't follow. They would be like, "Oh, I ate the same thing over and over," like not sending in actual meal check-ins, not doing the whole
mm.
program. They're just kinda like half doing it and being like, "Well, I just had a bite of this." Like, I don't know, it's like anything in the world. If you're not ready, you're not ready. You can have the most beautiful program at your fingertips, but if you're not ready to make the jump, you're gonna find.
Yeah, if you if you're not ready to really jump 2 feet head first and really make the change, the deep change, it's not gonna. I think also a part of that is like, with your life being on social media, what are some of the challenges that you faced in terms of like just curating a feed that is 100% organic? Like how has that infiltrated into your day to day?
Yeah, like some of the negative stuff I'll say is that people feel like they own a right to your life. So like I would have clients that would be like, why are you in Costa Rica? Just very like, I don't know, I guess it's similar to when we watch people on TV, and we think that we know
Mm,
them, and they do. Like I am posting a lot of my life, and they have gotten to know me over the years. But sometimes I can be negative, and they can turn kind of on you, and it's not coming from a good place. And so I would say that has been difficult, but again, that's shifted since coming here. I've had a new perspective
mhm,
on it, and I just let people be, and it was my own fault for giving them access to me in that way, and answering
mm.
DMs. Like, so I've learned I've learned to be really, like, professional around my boundaries of time, and that's something that actually the college makes you do. So as soon as I wrote my RTCMP and my doctorate, it's like, it's part of the college rules is that you can't socialize and be friends with your clients, and so for me, it was easy to make that change then, and so since doing that, I found it easier basically because, yeah, you just attract less of that kind of energy. And then the good things
Yeah.
is that, you start a family. Like some of the women that have been following me for like 7 years, like they dropped gifts off when I was pregnant. Like they did,
Oh, that's
yeah, just, like, from the heart because I helped them, and there's people that have, like, gotten me really cool connections when I needed something because I helped, their sister or their mom, like, so, I don't know, it's like this kindness thing where, you're helping each other, and people have really tried to help me with my career and everything just because I was able to help them with whatever they were going through at the time, so, yeah, it's been really nice.
I love that sense of community. Like community takes two to build, right?
Yeah.
Like they benefited from your healing, and then after that, they come back to you and say, "Hey, thank you so much for helping me," and this and that. And for someone who's listening, like, are there foods or herbs that you think everyone could benefit from including in their diet? Like,
Yeah,
what are
like
some of your go tos?
I would say apple cider vinegar, coconut vinegar is really good for most people, not if you have stomach heat or yin dryness or, too much heat because it'll create heat.
Hmm.
But that's, like, a really good one to create a nice digestive fire because as we know, like, a digestive fire is the root of everything. It's how you're digesting your foods, it's how you're assimilating them, it's how everything's getting broken down. I really like turmeric. I like things like my whole reset is anecdotal, just meaning, like, I only put things in the reset if I've seen firsthand experience many, many times of amazing results. And so, yeah,
Mm,
so we have turmeric where I've seen it stop someone from having to go to the hospital from inflammation. So I had somebody where they constantly were getting inflamed when they were sick, and their face would swell up, and they had to go to the hospital and get all these
mm.
medication, and in the middle of that happening again, I gave them a bunch of turmeric, and the swelling completely went down, colloidal silver and turmeric.
Wow.
Yeah, the swelling completely went down, they didn't need to go to the hospital, and so I'm like, "Okay, I will ride hard for turmeric and colloidal silver." Like, I have seen them, like, do miraculous things, like, those 2 things you need in your pantry. Turmeric only if you
So
have good
apple
iron, but yeah.
cider vinegar and turmeric.
Yeah, and
Those are
colloidal
your
silver. Colloidal silver is important for anything bacterial. Yeah.
got you. So, like that person probably had a lot of stress and it was impacting their body. How do our relationships with others and ourselves, like, how do you think that shows up in our health?
It's a loaded question. It shows up in everything. It's how are you gonna choose your day? Just like I say to my son, like, "You choose your day. Are you gonna have a good day?" You gotta fight your bad moods like your life depends on it because it does, and you've heard that time and time again, but it's true. For me, when I'm, like, feeling moody or ungrateful, start my morning with cacao, and I just say, "God, show me how blessed I am, like, and show me how to be grateful," because when you're in it you don't know how to be grateful. I'm grateful for this. It's like, no, you're feeling low and that's okay. And so something that helps
Mhm.
me is God show me how to be grateful. And then throughout the day I'll actually be more grateful because I'm shown the little things
Mhm.
and I'm not pushed. It's not like, toxic positivity like be grateful. It's more like, no, show me how and throughout the day usually I am shown that. And so I like to be responsible for the energy that I bring when I'm in a bad mood. I try not to like go outward. I don't reply. Like these are things that I've just learned. And I'm like 36, but
Like,
yeah,
yeah,
this is like
it's a toolkit that you've curated for yourself as you've learned
yeah.
the journey of life over time, and
Yeah.
I genuinely love that, right?
Yeah.
In terms of, you said, like, at one point of your life, you formulated boundaries. What role do you think boundaries play in creating a safe space for healing?
So if you try to do too much for people, they're not going to ever change. And so for me, switching it like that, where it's like, it's not that you're creating boundaries even for yourself, it's for them. Like it's part of the reason there's a price on my program. Like it's like people have to do the work. They have to make the investment. You have to be serious about it and you have to be the one ultimately to do the work. Otherwise, you're going to, leave there with, oh, well, I still have this issue. Oh, I have this issue. Become obsessed with the issues you have. And that's just who you are. And some people, they build an identity with their diseases. And so for me, I never built an identity
Oh,
with my disease.
that's deep.
Yeah, it's true though. And I never did that. I was never like, I have celiac, and I was huge. Like, I was, I never could lose weight. I would spend hours on the treadmill. I would starve myself. I would take diet pills. Like I would only have chlorella for like every 3 days. And for me, it was like my life depended on me figuring out how to feel healthy. And it worked.
Mm.
It really worked. It's just like, okay, and part of that is being high vibration, choosing high vibrational foods, I really believe in. I think that when you're choosing shitty food, it's low vibration, and that's kind of when the negative self-talk gets a way in. That's when, like, low vibration kind of things happen, and, if you believe in God, it's like you gotta keep your vessel clean, and that'll repel
Right.
negativity and people, like, getting in, and it's important to keep your vessel clean. Even around drinking alcohol, like, I think that a huge part of me shifting wasn't even necessarily kids, but just that you have to abstain from alcohol when you're pregnant. And then when I was postpartum, I obviously didn't want to drink. And then having little kids, you don't really want to drink because you're engulfed in that lifestyle. And so I do feel like quitting drinking really opened up so much time to be positive and make good choices. And like if you think about it, right now I was invited to go and have a drink and go to a birthday party, and I really liked the people that were
Mm.
going, and I considered it, and then I just remembered that, like, it's not so much about going and enjoying life, like, that's fine, but I just know that it's like, what's your energy going towards? Because it's not just about going to the birthday party, it's like, okay, so what are you gonna do when you're there? You're gonna have a margarita. Okay, after that, what are you gonna do? Probably have another one. After that, what are you gonna do? Probably get hungry, you're gonna order something. And then the next day, you're gonna be a little bit
Mm.
tired, and then the next day, you're gonna be a little bit off. So for me, I just started, like,
Your sleep is gonna be
oh,
impacted.
yeah, your
That's a big
mood,
one.
your the way you look, your goals for if you're working out, like, everything. So for me, it's like, it's not worth that energy, and because I didn't go, ended up, like, making 3 reels, I ended up doing a ton of work, like, that's kind of, like, the next level, that top 1% where people ask me all the time, like, "How do you have time for this? How do you have time for that? How did you have time to finish your doctorate with 2 kids and working?" And it's like those moments where you're choosing to actively work on yourself instead of do
Mhm.
those other things, and my reset is one of those. It's like timeline jumping where it's like you're only eating healthy food. You're not drinking, you're not going out to dinner. So you have way more time to focus on what's gonna make you happy, like your creative energy. You have, like, more gusto, you have more mood for that. So yeah.
Have you is there a situation where in the same scenario you were invited and you showed up and didn't drink? And how did you, like, track your energy in that scenario? Let's say you go out to a dinner and you don't drink. How does that track itself over the next couple of days?
Yeah, so for me, I've done that a lot because like I said, like I stopped partying and that's kind of like how I did like conduct myself, but it doesn't
Mhm.
stop that you're now in that energy. And so it's like
Right.
how to explain it? It's almost like let's say you have 10 things that you're going to do. You're going to wake up and you're
Mm.
going to go for a run. You're going to work on your business. You're going to make a couple of videos for your business. You're going to think of a marketing plan. So that's 4 things you've done. If you go out,
Right.
even if you're not drinking, it's like, You're not gonna wake up in the morning because 'cause you'll be a little bit tired still. You're not gonna
Mhm.
you're not gonna go and do all those other things because 'cause you're getting ready to go to this thing, and then you're going to the thing, and that takes a lot of yang energy, so I get what you're saying, you don't have to actually drink, but for me, I'm like a introvert extrovert, so if I have extrovert time, even with my kids, like, if I choose to be super extrovert with them and, talk to all the moms
Mhm.
on the playground and really get in there and play with them, then I lose a lot of the yang energy that I would have used towards my business.
Mhm.
And so I like to just like, it's like a pie chart. You're just like, okay, how much? Because you also can't go crazy on your business and 24/7 work on your business. You want to have it balanced somewhat out.
Right. Like not necessarily have it as the identity factor, but more so, you've just chosen to put more energy towards the business than other areas of your life, which is not wrong because sometimes that is what, as you said, elevates you to the top 1%. These
Yeah.
sacrifices that got to be made.
Yeah. And it wasn't
Right.
conscious. I wasn't like, I'm going to stop drinking and I'm going to focus on my business. It was just that I looked back and I was like, oh, what was the change? And then it was that. It was just like, oh, a lot of my energy went into my business instead of, half kind of doing it. And yeah, just making a focus on it.
And time. You
Yes.
have more time on your hands, as you said,
Yeah.
like time. I always advocate for people to try sobriety for even for like 8 months. Just try it for 8 months. You'll see a significant shift in your life.
Yeah.
So if someone wants to cultivate like a healthy relationship with themselves, like how can you advise them? Where do they start?
Yeah, I really like, tracing things back to what's going on in your body. So I've worked with people before where they kind of were just like, okay, like when is the first time you felt like that? So now because I've worked with them so many times with it, I try to do that with myself where it's like, what is this really about? Because it's not about whatever I'm doing right now. Like, what is this really about? What's this
Mhm.
emotion about? And why am I like that, really? So yeah, you have to do a lot of like self-reflection and see, maybe how others view you and try to look at how you respond to certain things because something I've really learned this year is that we're always projecting. Like we're always projecting. Like even when I don't think I'm projecting, it'll come to me and I'll be like, "Oh, so I was projecting." Anytime you hate someone or, you're really irritated by their personality, like it's always because they remind you of something that you didn't like about yourself. And
Mhm.
yeah, there's like one story where I was just like, "Oh, I can't stand her," and when I thought about it, I'm like, "But I'm nothing like her, like, I'm like this and I'm like that," and then it was like a couple weeks after I was in bed and I was like, because there was a short time when I was like that and I still feel guilty about it, so now she's reminding me of that, so
Of that part of you that no.
yeah, so even though she's
Okay.
not like me now and I do hate it, it's like because I feel guilty still about maybe when I was like that, it still lives in me, and so I really try to, like,
Mhm.
connect to that because if when you're just projecting, it's even being happy for people, like, it's easy for me to be happy for people because as soon as I feel jealousy or, "Well, why'd they get that?" I go, "Be happy for them in their season, and that's what makes blessings happen in your season." If you're always like, "Ah, I hate that
Mhm.
she's doing that. I wish she wasn't doing that." It's just like that negative energy. You'll never get to your own season. So learning to be happy for people when they're in their winning season, it is a new thing for me. I'm not like a jealous person at all, but sometimes I catch myself being like, well, like why is this person talking about health when, in my opinion, they're not actually like able to help people.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so I'm like, "Well, I know I can help people, so, why aren't I able to do that at more of a widespread audience?" But there's also
Yeah.
other things that come into factor too, like, I'm a mom, and I don't wanna be away from my kids all the time, so there's, like, give and take on what you think you want versus what's actually good for you too, so I think, like,
Oh,
everyone can
that part.
benefit. Yeah, I feel like
That
everyone
part.
can benefit from, like, looking back on their reflexes, their reactions, like, the part that they played in a problem, like, don't be a victim. You'll just never get anywhere with your health, with your goals, with your career as a victim. You just won't. Yeah, so
Accountability goes a long way. The day you stop projecting and deflecting your issues to other people is the day you start seeing movement and progress. So I truly appreciate that sentiment.
yeah.
And like when you look back at your journey, like what are some of the relationships that have helped you, like in terms of mentorship or just personal relationships that have stood out to you to be the woman that you are today?
Yeah, so it's funny because I don't have anyone that I'm like, "I wanna be like that," or mentors or
Mhm.
anything like that. Like, even with my teachers, I was just like, "Nah, I wouldn't have chosen that." Like, I always disagreed with them. Like, I'll always quote this one time this teacher would, like, not take my formula recommendation, and she just kept not taking it, and I'm like, "It's definitely that." And she's like, "That's too strong, no." And then one day I was like, "Can we just try it?" And she's like, "Yeah, I guess we could try it." And the girl came back and it worked, and she got her period back, and I'll always remember she was like, "It must have been that acupoint." It's like, "No, it was the freaking formula that I kept trying to get
It was
you
the
to."
give me
Give me
credit.
the
God damn
credit,
it.
like and that's how it's been my whole life, so, for me, I don't have mentors or anyone that I looked up to in school, like, I felt like they were really ego driven and they, like to listen to
Mm.
their own voice most of the time than helping people.
Oh, let's actually flip this as we close. I think when you look back, what has healing others taught you about yourself?
What has healing others taught me about myself? Like, I don't know if it's taught me anything about myself. I feel like I'm always been like the wounded healer. So, it's
Mm.
never been like when I helped them, so now I'm great. Like it hasn't really that hasn't been something for me. Um
Mm.
yeah, just I guess it just reminds me of how much pain everyone is carrying. Sometimes I get really sad
Right.
stories, especially like kids and when moms bring their kids to see me and I tap in because I'm intuitive and I'll see that they're like getting bullied and like there was this one scenario where a girl was having all these digestive issues and like obviously that's tied like I was saying to trauma and the mom brought her in and I was just like, "Are you?" And I had to just say it because when the messages come through, I just like they're for a reason. So I just said, "Are the kids maybe being mean to you at school?" And the mom was like, "No, no, like the kids are great at school," and answering for her. And then I kind of turned to her and I'm like, "Are there some times that you feel like they're being mean to you?" And she's like, and like didn't want to say it. And that's what I was tapping into. And
Mm.
then the mom was like, "What do you mean? Who?" And it's just very I think part of my role moving forward, especially in this stage of my life, is more awareness
Mm.
around kid sensitivity because I was that sensitive kid.
Mm.
And like, being
Mm.
cautious or why they have an eating disorder, why they have digestive issues, like why they have gut issues, like why they're feeling that way, because it's not
Mhm.
just a physical symptom. So I would say that like when it takes it to that point, like I'll leave those calls and I'll think about that for a long time because I can't
Right.
go in there and I can't, I wish I can go to her school and just, those kids up
Yeah, do the thing, do the thing, do the thing for her.
and just be like, "Excuse me." I can't. So yeah, it's heavy. That's heavy for me. And then there's other people where I'm just like, they've had like 4 people pass in their family and they're trying to get pregnant and their husband has, cancer. Like there's a lot of people living with a lot of pain and these
Right.
manifest as physical issues. So I see them a lot and I have to address the emotions. For me, it just reminds me that we're all dealing with so much of our own stuff and just to be kinder to people and yeah, to try to help.
Be kind, be kind, be kind, just be kind. And when you look back at your journey, if you were to summarize it in one word, it all boils down to what?
Chaos, I would say.
Shout out to that nickname. I'm gonna call you this moving forward, the wounded healer. But chaos. Okay, why do you say chaos?
Why did I say it? Oh, just like I was saying, people see my life now, and it is very peaceful, and I'm very mindful, and I'm very present with my kids, and it took a lot to get there. And it's easy for me to choose good foods. Like that took a lot to get to, and so.
Mhm.
I struggled with a lot of different issues. I've touched on them weight issues, not feeling good enough, insecure, constantly wanting to change things about
Mhm.
myself, which I did. All these health problems and a party lifestyle. And really almost for a few years there, I didn't even know if I'd get out of that party lifestyle. I remember telling my sister, like,
Mm.
I don't know if I'm gonna make it. And I really didn't think I would at that point when it was at its lowest point. So, it takes a lot of hate to be in those kind of realms and with those types of people. So pulling myself out of that each time and not giving up and continuing to learn about myself and figure out why I didn't feel content and how to feel content and, diving into different traumas and healing from them. Yeah, I would just say it's really chaotic. Like I would say the last 6 years have been peaceful, but up until then, it was a lot of chaos.
All right. Chaos summarizes the journey, guys.
Yes.
And where can people connect with you and learn more about your work?
The website is www.thegutlabinc.com and my Instagram is glowbeauty.bythegutlabinc.
Perfect. Are you only on Instagram and the website?
I am right now. I wanna do YouTube. I've been, like, feeling the need to do YouTube and get out there more. I have my own, podcast too, The Gut Lab Inc., where it's
Nice.
mostly science-based, like, I'd say it's mostly just about the gut,
Mhm.
and it's mostly just me talking about the gut versus, like, interviewing people, so it's not a
Mhm.
traditional podcast, it's more of, like, learning, but, yeah, I have the podcast, and then I also have Holistica, retreats that we're doing, and my product Melt, which is like a product to uplift your mood. And you can think of it as like, when you burn sage to cleanse the room, you can use the product
Mhm.
instead. It has a lot of like protective spiritual
Oh,
qualities.
nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time. It was lovely having you. I genuinely think we have to do this again
Yeah.
at some point in the future because I genuinely enjoyed a lot of the conversation. And just thank you so much for taking the time to be with us here today.
Thank you so much for having me.